coming in.
Hello, this is LCE Graphics. You can reach us at 1-800-634-2176 or on the internet at www.lcegraphics.com. This is part of our training program in customer support. We're doing a Get Acquainted video for the Duplo System 5000 collator. Now this is a Duplo System 5000 1060. Which it could be a 4000 system or a 5000 system, and in some cases even a 3000. So this is really for the 1060 tower, and we're going to start going. First, we're going to do the first video of all the mechanical connections, controls, stop buttons, and also your sensors. The first thing we're going to start with is right here. This is your main stop button. When you push this button in, you'll get an emergency stop signal on your control panel. Then you release it, it'll go back to your screen. That's only when you push that stop button, the whole system shuts down, no matter where it's at. If it's halfway feeding a set, everything will stop right there. If you want to stop the machine just ordinarily, like if you're done running your cycle or you need to stop for some reason, this is your regular stop button. When you press that stop button, it'll finish the last set out the trimmer and then shut down. So those are your two stop circuit buttons. Now the next thing we're going to talk about is on your lift unit. Now this is what's called the lift unit, the LUH. What this does, it takes a set that comes out of the collator at the lower level and raises it up to the higher level of your booklet maker and or stacker, whatever you might have connected here. The first thing about your LUH unit are your exit rollers. These are your two exit rollers. Now these have small weights that go on there. Most of the time they don't run the weights, but sometimes you might need them. If you have a real heavy set, you might want to put the weights on there. But typically most operators do not use the weights. Now we're going to cover the mechanical lift here. What this does is, if you have a jam in here, you need to clear the seats for some reason, you lift this up. However, when you do, note what happens on the control panel. You get a door symbol or a micro switch symbol. Now when you see that little micro switch symbol light up, what that tells you is that either this reed switch is not closed, which means your lid is not closed down, or the conveyor is not latched properly. When you open the conveyor, it lights up on the panel. And now when you close the conveyor, or if any of your side covers are removed. On the 5000 and some later 4000s, the side covers, both operator and non-operator side, have safety switches that if you pull the covers off, it won't allow you to run it or start the machine. So if you see that symbol here at the top, that's going to be, again, it's going to be your conveyor door, your lift unit conveyor top, and that's what's going to show you that symbol, or one of your side covers. Now the next thing that we want to talk about are your sensors. Now your lift unit has what's called exit sensors or conveyor sensors. This has two sensors, one here located right there on the other side of your roller. That's it right there. We're going to shine a light on that to make sure you can see it. It's right there inside that little shroud, and right there is your wire that connects it. Now what that'll do is, if that sensor is bad, it'll show a jam in the conveyor. The other sensor is back here, if you can see it. It's back here right at the beginning of the LUH, right here in this corner. You'll see a wire running to it. So you have two sensors on the LUH unit. You have one at the entry of the LUH and the exit. So what that tells the collator, that the set has exited the collator and is now on the LUH, and it also tells the collator that the set has exited the LUH and is in the booklet maker. So if any one of those is blocked in a series of a jam, you'll see this indicator light up. See the indicator light come on and off? That tells you that there's a jam somewhere in your conveyor. Now you have that on a twin tower or multi-tower system. You also have a sensor the same type of sensor right here at the entry of the booklet maker, at the exit of the booklet maker. It's right there on the other back side of the tower. You'll have a sensor there. Now what that sensor will tell you, if the set gets stuck in there and doesn't come out, it'll also indicate a jam. So those are three sensors that you have in your transport, and it'll show a jam right there in this position here with the towers to tell you that you've got a problem in between your towers or in the exit. Now the next thing we want to talk about are your controls of your air and vacuum. Now with this bin right here, you're going to see that you have this control here, and that has an air symbol for bin 4, and it has a higher and lower number. But notice what's happening when we're moving this back and forth. What it's doing is it's opening the air blow ports. Those open ports you see there are the air blow ports. As you move this to a lower number, it closes those ports off to 0, where you have little or no air coming out. So for example, if you're running light paper, like 20-pound bond 8.5 by 11 or some light stock, you're going to want to run less air. Too much air will literally blow the paper into like a hump or a mountain, and actually delay or create problems with your feeding. Typically you're going to run it between 3 and 4, and you can always note on a notepad where you run different papers, and you can always just set it right to that number. And the next control here is a control of your separators. If you have to look in there to see the separators. And I don't know if you can see them right there, but they're going to go up and down. You see them moving up and down? You see the separators right there in the middle of your screen are yellow, and they're going up and down. What those are is they're little mylar separators, and what they do is they touch against the belt and they prevent doubles from going in. So sometimes if you have static problems with paper, or you're having double feeds, you can adjust this. The higher the number, the lower they are, which is basically allowing for thicker paper. The lower the number, the higher they are. So that's basically thinner paper, thicker paper. Now, the next thing you want to look at is over here on your bin position adjustment. Now this adjustment, what it does, if you can see it right here, this position adjustment right there, right in the middle of your screen, when you turn it up, it allows more space between the manifold and the paper. When you turn it to the right, it raises the sensor. It's basically the same thing as if you're familiar with sheet-fed presses. If you're feeding doubles, sometimes it's because the stack is too high. So you have to have the stack low enough so that the air blowers can do the separating job. Remember the way that these systems work. They work on, they actually levitate the sheet. The blowers actually blow into the paper and separate the top 5 to 10 sheets with a sheet of air between each sheet of paper. Then when the vacuum is turned on electronically, it actually sucks that top sheet up to the manifold, and then when the manifold is triggered by the collator, it advances the sheet into the feed conveyor. So that's why it's really important to make sure you have enough clearance between the bottom of your manifold and your sheet. Now these little guides here, what they are for is these are for guiding your sheet. On 11 by 17 you're going to need 2, one on each side, and then one on the end. The reason you need 3 is because what happens is if you only use one, it is possible for the sheet to kind of turn sideways when it goes in and is being fed. Now we have another type of guide. It is a special application. This is your magnetic spring-loaded guide. You get 2 with each collator, and they're designed to be used when you're running block mode. When you're running block mode, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bins. So you put the magnetic guide on the 6th bin, because what happens is when you're switching from the top block to the top block bins stay down and these bins go up. And so what happens as it's going up, if you have these longer ones in there, it'll hit the top bin and fall over. This one's designed to be spring loaded, and it pulls back just like you see there. You can see that clearly. What that does is allows you this bin to come all the way up to the last sheet without interfering with the bin above it. So this is just a little option unit that's provided. Now on your power, you have your main power switch here. and secondary power switch there. On some units, you can turn the power off with your secondary power switch, which is that small one down at the bottom, right above where the collator power plugs in, or you can turn it on down there and turn it on and off up here. Now right here you have a receptacle, and that's so you can actually plug the second tower into that receptacle if you want to. We do not recommend that because it has very low amperage, but it might be able to be used for like a rear exit stacker or something like that. It's best to plug your towers in individually into your surge protector. Now on the front of the tower, you have two power connections. I mean two umbilical connections. You have the first one is the top one here, which is your exit conveyor, your LUH. That one gets plugged in there. At the bottom is where your booklet maker plugs in. Very, very important. Make sure you never, ever cross those up. Because if you plug your booklet maker into that top one, it can do severe damage to your electronics. And this, now another feature of the lift unit is your inserting unit or hand marrying station. That's used for, you can use that for either marrying a cover, like if you have a cover that's very heavy or you're having difficulty feeding it, you can use this by loading your inside pages on the tower and then feeding your sheets in through the lift unit conveyor. And every time you insert a cover, the collator will initially feed the inside pages. You can also use this feeder for pre-collated digitally printed sets, like if you have booklets that are printed on a copier or whatever, they're already pre-collated. You just set it for manual stitch mode, and then the booklet maker will start running, and you insert every time you insert a set, it feeds it into the booklet maker, which makes feeding pre-collated sets a cinch. Also underneath here is your reject tray. Now what that tray does, every time that you calibrate your first set, like originally when you reset your tower, like you're putting in a new job and you're setting your sensors for the first time, it'll drop that first set into your reject tray. The reason for that is so you can pull the set out of there and check it to make sure that the sequence is correct, the page numbers are correct, that all the sheets are in the same direction, and that your set is complete. Then once you see that your set is complete and everything is fine, then you can go ahead and set your quantity into your touchpad. Also, the reject tray, if it misses a double, if it feeds a double or a missed sheet on any one of your sets, it'll drop those sets into the reject bin. Sometimes, depending on how you have it set, any collator will misfeed from time to time, but if it just misfeeds one or two sets, the collator will continue running. After the second set is rejected, then the collator shuts down. It'll indicate which bins are either doubling or misfeeding, and that's something you'll have to correct. Now this completes our Get Acquainted video of the tower. We have another video following up this one that will explain the touchpad. Thank you very much.